why is the Prime Minister not speaking on Operation Sindoor? Where are the terrorist attackers? Why have you not apprehended them? Why have you not even identified them? We know it was an intelligence failure. But so was the Mumbai terror attack in 2008.
The Indian government says quite clearly that the Pakistani DGMO made a call to his Indian counterpart at 3:35 in the afternoon on May 10th, and that's how the ceasefire came about.
But I'm sure that video call was recorded. If you didn't record it, I'm sure Pakistan has recorded it. One side says Donald Trump brought about the ceasefire, and we are obliquely saying Donald Trump had no role in the ceasefire. If he had a role, why not admit it? I'm sure Mr. Modi regrets he said, Abki Baar Trump Sarkar.
It has been 3 months since the terror attack in Pahalgam and over 2 months since Operation Sindoor concluded in a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Several critical questions remain unanswered. The opposition parties, the Congress in particular, has been seeking a discussion in Parliament and wants to ask several questions about the operation. Joining me to discuss this is senior Congress leader, former Home and Union Minister P Chidambaram. Thank you, Mr. Chidambaram.
Good evening.
For speaking to TheQuint. Let me start by asking you, in the beginning, the Congress party lent full support to the Narendra Modi government on Operation Sindoor. What are the questions that you now are looking to ask?
See, we continue to fully support the military, army, air force, and to the extent it played a role, the Navy. There's no doubt about that. We fully support the Indian military. What we are questioning is the political leadership that was behind Operation Sindoor and the political response to the consequences of Operation Sindoor. There is no transparency at all. The nation has not been taken into confidence. As you rightly said, it's several weeks since Operation Sindoor did not conclude according to the Prime Minister. It only paused. Therefore, there are so many questions that deserve to be raised and answered. But why is the government ducking them? And why is the Prime Minister not speaking on Operation Sindoor?
Why do you think there's a reluctance to, have a debate in the temple of democracy? That's what Parliament is. After all, Prime Minister Modi has addressed the nation. He's addressed various rallies. So have his ministers, Jai Shankar and Rajnath Singh. Are they uncomfortable with the idea that they will be asked about how the ceasefire came about? Because let's be honest, it was not the Indian government that announced it. It was Donald Trump.
How the ceasefire came about is one question. It's an important question. But there are several other questions. Now, if the Operation Sindoor is only paused, what are the follow-up steps? Have you taken any follow-up steps to prevent another Pahalgam? Number one. Number two, where are the terrorist attackers? Why have you not apprehended them? Why have you not even identified them? Suddenly, a news item emerges that we have arrested 2 or 3 people who gave them shelter. Now, what happened to that? If they gave them, they gave the terrorists shelter, they will know the names, they will know where they came from, and what happened to that? There's complete silence. Then we get snatches and bits of information from different officers. the Chief of Defense Staff goes to Singapore and makes a statement which gives you bits of information. Then the Deputy Army Chief makes a statement in Mumbai where he says a little more. In Indonesia, a junior officer of the Navy goes and makes a statement. Now, why is the Prime Minister or the Defense Minister or the Foreign Minister not making a comprehensive statement? And I can understand when Parliament was not in session, you were reluctant to convene Parliament and make a statement. But the Parliament has been convened now. We asked for a special session. You stalled it and avoided it. Now the regular monsoon session has been called. On day one, they should have made a comprehensive statement. It shows that they are reluctant to make a statement. Even if they make a statement next week, when the discussion will start, I doubt whether it will be a candid, forthright statement.
What are they trying to hide, according to you?
They're hiding the fact, I think, and this is speculation, I think they're hiding the fact that, and the CDS hinted at that, we made tactical mistakes, we re-strategized it. So, what tactical mistakes were made? What was the re-strategy? Those questions, either they are incompetent to answer or they are unwilling to answer. The second one is they are unwilling to disclose what the NIA has done all these weeks. Have they identified the terrorists, where they came from? I mean, for all we know, they could be homegrown terrorists. Why do you assume that they came from Pakistan? There's no evidence of that. They are also hiding the losses. I said it in a column that in a war, losses will occur on both sides. I understand that India would have suffered losses. Be upfront. Winston Churchill in World War II made a statement every other day. Whatever losses they suffered, Britain suffered, they made it plain. Therefore, why they are reluctant to admit the losses. But losses are inevitable and natural in a war. So admit the losses. I think they think they can put a large shroud on Operation Sindoor. It won't work.
Samajwadi Party's Akhilesh Yadav recently said, what happened in Pahalgam? Why did it happen? Why is the government hiding its face? Intelligence failure, I reckon, is another question that you would like to take up forcefully.
The LG of J&K has admitted it is an intelligence failure. I mean, he did not have admitted. We know it was an intelligence failure. But so was the Mumbai terror attack in 2008, an intelligence failure. When I took over as Home Minister and I visited Mumbai, and I called the entire press, and the first sentence I said was, I apologize for the intelligence failure. It was an intelligence failure of 7 or 8 Pakistan-based terrorists coming by boat to Mumbai, the commercial capital of India and the financial capital of India, and walking up to Hotel Taj was a clear intelligence failure. So they should have said there is an intelligence failure. The Army intelligence, the Air Force intelligence, the Defense intelligence, the IBA, Intelligence Bureau, there was a collective intelligence failure. There's a multi-agency center, MAC, which I had beefed up and revived and made them meet every day. Now they've built up a plush well-equipped office, I'm told. I'm glad. But what did the MAC do? Were there not bits of intelligence preceding the Pahalgam attack? And why did they not put together the intelligence and predict that an attack is likely to take place? These are questions which will be raised, and the best thing for the government can do is admit there is an intelligence failure, which I admitted after the Mumbai attack, and face it and say what remedial measures you have taken to plug such intelligence failure.
Coming back to the ceasefire, it would not be wrong to say, would it, that we know more about the ceasefire and the way it suddenly came about from the US President Donald Trump rather than Prime Minister Modi and his government?
President Trump has said that 25 times. We also know that Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Mark Rubio certainly spoke to the foreign minister, certainly spoke to maybe any other minister, but whether they spoke to Mr. Modi directly, I can't say. But there are hints that Vice President Vance may have had a brief conversation with Prime Minister Modi, be that as it may. So they spoke about it, and then the ceasefire comes next day. So what is the message they gave to India, and equally to Pakistan? The Pakistan says, yes, President Donald Trump and the United States brought about the ceasefire. Now, two hands have to clap. How can you have a ceasefire with one side and not the other side? One side says Donald Trump brought about the ceasefire. And we are obliquely saying Donald Trump had no role in the ceasefire. If he had a role, why not admit it? India-Pakistan 1965 war, Russia brought about the ceasefire, and they invited us to Tashkent, Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri and the Pakistani president or prime minister at that time. So Lal Bahadur Shastri did go to Tashkent, and I think Prime Minister Kosygin was there. And it was all transparent. If somebody had a role to play in bringing about a ceasefire, what is the shame in admitting it? I can't understand.
In the same tweet pertaining to the ceasefire, Trump also spoke about trade and said, you want to do trade? Then, first stop firing at each other. So you think trade played a role?
His language was coarser than what you are using. But that's par for Donald Trump's administration. Clearly, he has converted trade and tariff into a weapon. He is using it against Canada. He is using it against Brazil. He is using it against the European Union. He used it against Indonesia and concluded a deal. So I have no reason to disbelieve him that he used trade and tariff as major weapons if he had a role in bringing about the ceasefire. He can't bring about a ceasefire, as he claims, by simply appealing to the good sense of both sides. In India-Pakistan relations, there is no good sense as such, because Pakistan is determined to create trouble. There's no good sense as such. It's power versus power, might versus might, army versus army, air force versus air force. So he would have used something, if I make it clear, if Donald Trump had a role in bringing about the ceasefire, he would have used some coercive step. And on his own admission, it is trade and tariff.
But would he put out an open claim if he didn't have a role? I mean,
he is using trade and tariff for other agreements. For example, when he sanctioned Russian oil, Russia for the oil sales, Senator Lindsey Graham, his trusted senator, made a statement yesterday. If you buy Russian oil, we'll tariff the hell out of you. We will wreck your economy. That was addressed to the BRICS countries, Brazil, India. Of course, they can't say that against China. They dare not say that against China. But it's clearly addressed to Brazil, India, and South Africa.
Since I'm discussing the ceasefire, I should also mention India. The Indian government says quite clearly that the Pakistani DGMO made a call to his Indian counterpart at 3:35 in the afternoon on May 10th, and that's how the ceasefire came about.
Short version of what happened is probably correct. But I'm sure that video call was recorded. If you didn't record it, I'm sure Pakistan has recorded it. Will a DGMO speak to the DGMO without any record of what happened? Number one. Number two.
Without political sanction.
That's the second. Can the DGMO accept the DGMO Pakistan's offer to a ceasefire without pre-instructions? He would have got instructions at least half an hour earlier. So what were those instructions? Those instructions should have been in writing. No DGMO will agree to a ceasefire without written instructions. And then after he agreed to the ceasefire, he would have reported back to Delhi, and that would have been in writing or in a call which is recorded. See, it's difficult to believe that in these days of digital records, the instructions to the Indian DGMO, the conversation between the two DGMOs, and the post-agreement report back to Delhi would not be recorded. It would be recorded either digitally or on paper. So all that is material evidence, prime evidence, on the basis of which the government can make a statement. We are making this statement, and all this is provable.
So you're looking forward to more detailed answers on all these questions when you have the discussion in Parliament?
When we ask these questions, they will say flatly no. Suppose they say flatly no.
National security.
National security, DGMO spoke to the DGMO and they agreed. Then we will say, where is the record? There must be some record. Remember, even the world wars that were fought had records, which is how war historians are able to reconstruct the sequence of events.
We were talking about Donald Trump. I do want to ask you, in the first presidency, there were these two mega events that stand out. One was Howdy Modi, and the second was Modi saying, Abki Baar from Sarkar. Do you think Modi sort of sometimes wonders
I'm sure
why he said that?
I'm sure Mr. Modi regrets he said Abki Baar Trump Sarkar. I mean, not that he said it and he was elected.
Obviously.
Suppose, and he didn't say it, and Mr. Trump was lost the election, at least we would have an India-friendly Kamala Harris as president. I'm sure he regrets that.
It was more about the relationship between the two.
No. It's clear that President Trump treats every visitor to the White House shabbily. Look at the way he treated President Zelensky of Ukraine. Look at the way he treated the president or prime minister of Libya, is it? He said, you speak such good English. He told Zelensky about his clothes. You're not suited and booted. The other president or Prime Minister came on television and said he can't treat an African country so shabbily. We are all educated in English-speaking schools and colleges. We, of course, speak English. He spoke perfect English. Like many Indian political leaders, even after 1947, spoke perfect English. Jawaharlal Nehru. But he sort of mocked him for speaking English. He treats every visitor to the White House or to the Oval Office shabbily. But that's Trump.
What do you make of his meeting with General Asim Munir, the Pakistan Army chief? Because
to rub in the fact that as far as I'm concerned, India and Pakistan are on par. It's to rub in the fact. General Asim Munir, now Field Marshal Asim Munir, is not the Prime Minister of Pakistan, is not the President of Pakistan.
Correct.
He is talking to a general. I mean, I don't know of no other general that he is received in the Oval Office except the NATO Secretary General is a former army officer. Because the NATO Secretary General is considered some kind of a equivalent to the head of state. But for President Trump to receive the head of the army in Pakistan and give him a state dinner, I mean, it's unprecedented. He's rubbing him the fact that as far as he's concerned, he doesn't accept one as the aggressor and one as the victim. Both of you fought. Every time he mentions India, he mentions Pakistan. Every time he mentions Pakistan, he mentions India. These two guys have been fighting and they have two nuclear weapons. They would have bombed the hell out of each one. Therefore, I told both of them, if you guys continue to fight, I will tariff you. I won't open trade talks with you. So he's clearly equating India and Pakistan, which is a dramatic change from the position of President Biden and President Obama.
So the hyphen is back.
Hyphen, it's not a hyphen, it's a chain link now. It's no longer hyphen.
Prime Minister Modi, while drawing the new red lines and talking about the new normal, has said, amongst other things, that India will not fall for Pakistan's nuclear blackmail.
Correct.
Do you think we were close to a nuclear conflict?
No, the Chief of Defence Staff has clarified that. We were nowhere near the nuclear threshold. It was still a conventional war, but an unconventional conventional war. We did not cross the border, they did not cross the border.
Let's look at the red lines drawn after Operation Sindoor. Terror and talks can't go hand in hand. Terror and trade can't go hand in hand. Blood and water cannot flow together. India will not fall for nuclear blackmail. Achievements?
These are rhetorical flourishes. The first three are rhetorical flourishes. Who says trade and terror can go together? Who says talks and terror will go together? Unless terror stops, there is a fighting war stops. We can't obviously do anything. Therefore, the first three are rhetorical flourishes for the domestic audience. The fourth one is correct. We will not succumb to nuclear blackmail.
And the Indus Water Treaty being put in abeyance?
Indus Water Treaty, I don't know. Is no water flowing from the river Indus to
it will slow down eventually. Right now it is flowing.
And it can't suddenly stop. And I think we need more structures to stop the flow. I'm not entirely familiar with how the Indus Water Treaty works. But as we don't succumb to nuclear blackmail, obviously Pakistan also is not deterred by the nuclear blackmail. I'm sure India will not indulge in nuclear blackmail, but the fact that we are a nuclear power does not deter them from starting a war once in 10 years.
The reason I listed out the red lines, Mr. Chidambaram, is because Prime Minister Modi, in a public meeting, said, and I'm asking you this because you were made the Home Minister after Mumbai attacks, he said that the UPA did nothing after 26/11. That he is the author of surgical strikes. He's the one who's got the muscle and the power to take on Pakistan.
Please understand the context of 26/11 when I became Home Minister. I was Home Minister for one day. When I raised the question, attack had been repulsed after 4 days. It took us 4 days to neutralize 8 terrorists. So obviously, our preparation was inadequate, be that as it may. I raised the question internally within government, can we retaliate? Not retaliate against any particular target, can we retaliate against the sources or presumed sources? I was not the defense minister. I had taken over the home minister. Then the consensus was that we cannot retaliate at this stage, maybe later. But then every leader flew into India. Remember, Condoleezza Rice, the Secretary of State, flew into Delhi and met me and said, I've come to plead with you and your government that you should not retaliate. The world opinion was supporting India against Pakistan, but they advised us, don't retaliate. We will help you identify the terrorists, but don't retaliate. That was their message, clearly. And at that time, the world opinion was in India's favor. They blamed Pakistan.
Like after Pahalgam, where
they have condoled the victims. They have expressed sympathy with the victims, which is Indian tourists. But not one country has named Pakistan as the aggressor. It may be, you're reading between the lines, you can say Pakistan-based terrorists, but nobody has used Pakistan. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization resolution, the BRICS resolution, has not named Pakistan. And remember, our immediate neighbors, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Maldives, Mauritius, have not named Pakistan. We are also, 6 or 7 countries are in SARC. SARC is a non-starter now. It was started, it stopped. But no one country has named Pakistan. Therefore, world opinion is condemning terrorism, condoling the victims, but not condemning Pakistan.
Are you saying that strategic restraint could perhaps work better than, surgical strikes?
Strategic restraint in 2008, although I had reservations about the strategic restraint, but that was the government's decision. Strategic restraint helped us identify the terrorists and the masterminds and bring them to book. They have been identified. They have been tried in America. One guy has been repatriated.
Those sitting in Pakistan are still free.
Yeah, they are still free, but 1 or 2 of them have been named by the United Nations as a terrorist. As long as the UPA was in power, there was no Pakistan-based terrorist enter India and carry out a terror attack.
We saw the reaction of the Kashmiri street after the Pahalgam attack. People just coming out and condemning the attack, holding candlelight vigils. You were Home Minister. You had multiple discussions. You set up a team of interlocutors headed by Dilip Padgaonkar. Way forward in Kashmir at this juncture, according to you? I mean, of course, let me also say, in 2019, we had special status removed and the state converted into 2 union territories.
You see, the interlocutors brought about good results. Even when I was Home Minister, I visited Srinagar several times. And in one visit, I ensured that the roadblocks in Srinagar were removed. There were people on the banks of the Dal Lake at midnight. Things have improved. I'm not denying that things have improved. But don't suggest that there was no returning to normalcy under the UPA. We were returning to normalcy. The stone throwing had stopped. The barriers, the blocks were being removed. People were boating, walking in Dal Lake, on the banks of the Dal Lake. Things were returning to normal. I think the interlocutors did a splendid job. But we gave up all those gains. We frittered away all those gains.
But you didn't really follow that report, did you? I mean, the recommendation.
No. I returned to the
Finance.
to the Finance Ministry on 1st August 2012. So, whatever I could do, we did. But maybe there was not enough focus on Kashmir later.
Too many windows of opportunity that have been squandered in Kashmir.
No, maybe it was the gains were frittered away. It's possible to come to that conclusion. But then the abolition by stealth of Article 370 and worse, the division of Jammu and Kashmir into 2 parts and reducing the status from a state to a union territory has made matters worse. There is a certain amount of appearing to be peace, but you remember John Kennedy's word, peace of the grave.
Peace of the grave. My last question to you, Mr. Chidambaram. Does Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar's resignation have anything to do with the discussion on Operation Sindoor, or do you think there are other reasons like, the impeachment motion?
I don't think Operation Sindoor had played a part.
Impeachment motion?
I think there was the two of them had grown apart. BJP on the one side, BJP leadership, and Mr. Dhankar had grown apart over the last 2-3 months. His admonition of Agriculture Ministry Shivraj Singh Chauhan in public, and his statements on behalf of Kisans, and his statements attacking the judiciary, I think had made them grow apart, drift apart. But I think the government was perhaps blindsided by the admission of the impeachment motion against Justice Verma and his hint that the impeachment motion against Justice Shekhar Yadav will also be admitted because he had completed the verification or nearly completed the verification. See, it's absolutely established now. Government was not keen to impeach Justice Shekhar Yadav, but they were keen to impeach Justice Yashwant Verma. We moved the Rajya Sabha an impeachment motion against Justice Verma because it was the right thing to do, but also for a secondary reason that it will revive the impeachment motion against Justice Yadav, which had been lodged in December 2024 and had been put on the back burner. When this motion is taken up, we will say, what happened to that motion? which was 7 months earlier. And I think, and this may be in other reasons, whatever other reasons, I'm not privy to other reasons. This is a deduction of the Congress leaders, Congress MPs, talking to various people. Each one has its own contacts and sources. Putting together all that, the impeachment motions were the last straw on the camel's back.
If I may, and I seek your indulgence, just a few lines on the revision of electoral rolls in Bihar and how you see it. Last question.
I've written a column last week. It was a Machiavellian move by the ECI, whether they were impelled or inspired by the BJP party or the NDA government, I cannot say. But it's a Machiavellian move. You see, there's a danger is about the 55 lakh names in the electoral roll, which they classify in 3 categories. Dead, permanently migrated, and not traceable. Now, not traceable is a dubious head. Permanently, the dead is, I agree. If they are dead, you remove them. But even if a dead voter's name is on the electoral roll, he can't vote. The permanently migrated is the ECI's gloss over migration. We all know that migrants return to the state and vote in the election. It happens all over in all the states. And if large number of migrated, say, to nearby states, they will certainly return. If they have migrated to faraway states, they may return. But there's a greater danger. They boast that 93 or 94% forms have been received. But the forms have been received, they don't say the breakup between the forms which are fully supported by documents and the forms which are not supported by documents. I don't know how many lakhs forms have been submitted, because I know people of Bihar have told me that the ASHA worker goes and tells the constituent, sign on this form. We'll take care of everything. And that form is uploaded. But that form is not supported by any document. So how many such forms unsupported by any document has been submitted? So I'm afraid the numbers are so massive that this exercise, SIR, doesn't seem to be enfranchising new voters or missing voters, but it's an exercise to disenfranchise a large number of voters.
Thank you very much for all your insights. Thank you for speaking to the Quint.